Hello, welcome to another of my Too Young to Get Old video podcasts. Let me just tell you a little bit about me in case you don't know me, which you very well may not. My name is Christine Webber. I'm a writer, I'm a broadcaster, I'm a psychotherapist, although actually I'm not practicing anymore, but I did have a practice in Harley Street for 20 years. I've written a lot of non-fiction books, self-help books and whatever, but now I mostly write novels for and about midlife people because I think midlife is a very interesting time of life. Talking of which, actually, with this particular podcast, I'm really hopeful that it will grab the attention of people who are younger than midlife because it's all about exercise and getting enough exercise and being fit is something that really will benefit you from an early age, and I have to say that I came to it very, very late. Very, very late, as it happens. I was the sort of child at school who was regarded as hopeless at PE and games. If you got picked for teams, for rounders or whatever, I was always the child that didn't get picked. So I grew up believing I was hopeless at all physical activity. When I worked in Norwich in Anglia Television, it was about the time that aerobics came on the scene, and I used to make myself go to an aerobics class every now and again because everybody was going to aerobics classes. And trust me, it was the worst hour of my life each week. I loathed it. I looked at my watch all the time. I hated it. So clearly that was not a good fit for me. I did, when I was about 40, decide to have a few lessons in tennis. And then I did find something for the first time that engaged my brain as well as my body and feet. And I did stick with that. But my greatest triumph, really, exercise-wise, has been that at age 63, which is 9 years ago now, I took up ballet. And that was very old to take up ballet, actually. But it's been very good for my health, my posture, my balance, my mood. I love the music. It kind of feeds my soul. And I just feel livelier through doing it, and I'm quite sure that it has sharpened up my brain because there's nothing like trying to assimilate what somebody's telling you to do and then trying to interpret it through your body. I think it's very, very good for the brain, as indeed exercise is, which we will come to later. So I also do a bit of Pilates, yoga, and something called body balance. Now, I'm not trying to tell you what you should do because we all have to find the things that we like enough to make us do them again. And my particular types of activity are not going to be yours. You need to find your own, but I'm just telling you what I do. So the recommended levels of exercise for all ages, including into midlife and allowing for mobility and everything as you become older, the recommended levels are around about 3 hours of robust exercise a week. So you might say, well, I walk my dog, and that's probably very good exercise, and you're in the open air, but is it enough? Only you can tell, but this might get you thinking about whether you should be doing something else. I mostly, by the way, do Pilates and yoga to enable me to carry on doing ballet, because I find as I get older that I need to do maintenance for my back, particularly my lower back, and those things are very good for it. So that's just something to kind of file away and have a think about it. But find something you like and you're going to probably continue with it. Why bother, you might say? Well, there are very many reasons why you should bother. One I found quite by accident is that it takes your cellulite away. Now, I used to spend a fortune on, usually they were French, creams that claimed to get rid of that kind of orange peel thing on your thighs and bottom and everything. I mean, I've no idea how much I spent. And it never worked. But when I'd been doing ballet for a while, I suddenly thought, I don't have cellulite anymore. Who knew? But anyway, that was a real bonus. Bone health is the other thing. Now, if you are female and pre-menopause, you've still got time to do more physical exercise, which will encourage good bone density, because after the menopause that becomes more difficult. But if you are in the menopause or post-menopause, don't allow yourself simply to think, well, it's too late, I can't do anything now, because that is not true. Our bones do not become brittle overnight as soon as we've had our last period. They don't. It's a gradual deterioration, and there are plenty of things we can do to maintain the bone density we've got. And obviously we want to do that because we don't want to do things like break our hips. It's something to bear in mind that you want to do everything you can to keep your bones as healthy as possible. And to do that, you've got to do exercise where you take your own weight. So that means, by all means, swim or cycle if you want to, because they are good exercise, but they are not building bone density or maintaining bone density, because you're not taking your own weight. So kicking a ball around the garden with your grandchildren, playing tennis, squash, running, walking, ballet, dance, all of those things, they are exercises where you're taking your own weight, and they will encourage good bone health. The next thing to tell you about is that we should actually try and stand more and sit less. And there's a good reason for that. In fact, there are several good reasons, but I'm going to quote from the NHS UK website on living well. Sitting for long periods is thought to slow the metabolism. This affects the body's ability to regulate blood sugar, blood pressure, and break down body fat. Many adults in the UK spend more than 7 hours a day sitting or lying. This typically increases with age to 10 hours or more. This includes watching TV, using a computer, reading, doing homework, travelling by car, bus or train, etc. So scientists now believe that sitting shortens your life. Now, obviously, sitting is probably better than lying, and we are going to sit quite a lot, but there will be times when you can actually elect to stand rather than sit. I mean, what I try and do is, especially if I've sat all the way, say, from Norwich to Liverpool Street on the train, which I do quite frequently, when I get to London, I make myself stand up on the tube. It's just my little kind of sort of ploy to think, well, I must build a bit more standing into my day. So try and stand. I also stand to work, not all the time. I sometimes sink back into my chair, but for a lot of the day, if I maybe spend 3 hours at the computer, I stand up for it. And that has definitely improved my, I think it's improved my the way I think, but I think it's improved my general strength as well. So finally, I want to talk about not just your physical self when it comes to benefits for exercise, but your brain, the benefits to your brain. And about 10 years ago, I read this book, which I found absolutely fascinating. And it's by a guy from Harvard, Professor John Ratey. And one of the things in the book really latched into my brain because I thought this was so interesting and I'd never heard this before. I think very often we think that physical health is nothing to do with the brain, that the brain is somewhere quite separate. But the fact is the brain is served by the same bloodstream and the same oxygen supply as all the rest of us. So what you exercise for your body and the benefits of that, they are equally beneficial for your brain. But don't just take my word for it. This is what I want to tell you about. John Ratey wrote about a study of just 60 people, so it was a small sample. They were previously unfit individuals aged 60 to 79. They were given, before they did anything, tests for their physical fitness, including lung capacity, heart rate, that sort of thing. Also, they were all given an MRI scan to see the state of their brain. So then the group were divided into two. 30 of them went to the gym 3 times a week for an hour each time, and they were encouraged simply to do very low-level exercise and mostly stretching. The other 30 went to the gym 3 times a week for 6 months for an hour at a time, and they went on a treadmill, and over the period of 6 months were encouraged to walk more and more briskly. At the end of the 6 months, everybody was tested again. Now, you wouldn't need a degree in science to come up with the conclusion that the people that had been more active had actually done better on lung capacity and so forth. You would expect that. But what people did not expect, to that extent anyway, was that the people who had been the active group had increased the volume of the frontal and temporal lobes of the brain. Now, this was quite revolutionary because what it implied from that study is that it's possible that exercise can not just stop brain deterioration, but can actually reverse the deterioration associated with aging. And as someone whose mother had Alzheimer's, this is meat and drink to me. I mean, I'm delighted to hear this, and this, apart from all the physical things that exercise benefit, is one reason that I keep exercising. So, in conclusion, we have to find what's good for us, but it does benefit you, and it benefits your mood, it benefits your physical fitness, and it also looks as if it benefits your brain. Sounds good news to me. Thanks for watching.